and he's a little upset. He's from Terre Haute, Indiana, and he seems like a good guy, but he's upset. He says, "You're being a little too harsh on Hillary Clinton." Well, let me just let you in on something. When I was a young man, and I still consider myself to be pretty young, but when I was younger, okay, in my 20s, I worked for a radio network called the People's Radio Network. I left a very lucrative talk show position with a radio group that's still in existence today that's called Bot Radio Network, and I was enjoying a nice radio career in Memphis, Tennessee on a big 50,000-watt station that reached, actually of all places, into Arkansas. But anyway, 5 states and a flamethrower, but to work for Chuck Harder's For the People. And because of the fact Chuck was way ahead of his time, his network, his ideas, he was the Fox News, if you will, for radio. Okay, and Chuck launched the People's Radio Network and the For the People broadcast way before Fox News, way before hundreds of other talk show hosts. Mark Levin, by the way, was a guest before nobody even knew who he was on Chuck's show. Mark Levin, some of you might remember that. A lot of others, Armstrong Williams. I mean, the list goes on. Chuck helped people get into the broadcast industry through his network. But these are the type of quality people that he had, and he had the fortitude to get it. So I have to give credit where credit's due. But anyways, some of you know the story, some of you don't. But because Chuck was a nonprofit organization, it was a 501c3, People's Network, Inc., Chuck was selling books and tapes and things like that that were critical of the Clintons. But because of the 501c3 status, it kind of went against what the 501c3 and was threatened that they would revoke it if he would continue selling under People's Network. So he's looking for a way to be able to grow the network even bigger. And he got together with Pat Choate, who was running for vice president with Ross Perot back then. Anyways, a deal was struck with the union, the UAW, and they were pro-American and made in the USA. It all seemed like a good fit, but the wheels came off very quickly with the deal. And very quickly, I was ushered into a room, private meeting. Pat Choate was there, and Ed Miller and Cliff Curley and all these muckety-mucks from the union. Minus Pat Choate, he put the deal together, at least introduced Chuck's company. Chuck wasn't there, but I was basically given an ultimatum. I was going to stay with them, get off the fence, one or the other, get off the fence, and I was like, I'm going with Chuck. But I was handed a letter from Hillary Clinton demanding the resignation of Chuck Harder and demanding him to be kicked off the air that day. And that started something that I cannot explain to you what happened to me, to see literally the Mickey Mouse torn out of the network. The network was making millions of dollars, folks, employed hundreds and hundreds of people. It kept the town alive of Little White Springs, Florida. And people committed suicide. People's lives were destroyed. It was not a good scene at all. And to see this happen as a result of politics, it really turned me off. And for a long time, I didn't want anything to do with politics, let alone to talk about them. But as much as Hillary Clinton says that she's going to be part of the resistance, as long as she is in politics, I will continue loaning my voice, telling my story. And by the way, Chuck's story is incredible. It should be made into a movie for what Chuck did with the Telford Hotel in White Springs, Florida. I mean, some director, some producer should pick up the story of America's first 24-hour all-talk network. It was an amazing network of conservatives. There was some libertarians, there was some liberals on there with some a garden show with Michael Kroos, and I'm a big fan. Love Michael Kroos. He lives up the road from me, or should I say down the road, but he lives in Clearwater. Great guy, great show. And he's on the network that syndicates this broadcast. Very fond of Michael Kroos and his home and garden show. Great, great guy. But anyway, I don't forget those particular things, because it was that it destroyed not only the lives of people there in White Springs, Florida, but people who relied on Chuck's steady voice, his insight, his commentary, his brilliant mind that was decades and decades ahead of things. And because of the mere fact that Chuck was telling the truth, they destroyed him. They took him out. Death threats, they put an 18-year audit on him with the IRS, and that will do damage, folks. Untold damage. And they found nothing wrong. Well, anyway, if you want to read the article, go to Google and type in silenced/Chuck Harder. The World Net Daily story will come up, and it's a brilliant article that it's gotten millions of hits, and hit it again. But maybe somebody in Washington with all these investigations going on, or considering another investigation going on with the Clintons, maybe, just maybe, they'll count this one in, because this is factual. This stuff really did happen. And a poor guy is in a nursing home and can't even afford to stay in his own house. A man who took care of people, took a school teacher's salary. It wasn't a good get-rich scheme. And if it was, folks, for people that ever thought that he may have been that, what is he doing in a nursing home? He dedicated his life to service, to educate people about the corruption in Washington, the corruption in D.C., and with Chuck, it was annoying with some of his critics, because they couldn't put him as a conservative, they couldn't put him as a liberal. They mostly thought he was a moderate conservative, but he basically just went after people that were just plain wrong, whether it was conservatives, George W., was H., it was Clinton, whoever was screwing up the country, in his opinion. And people did not like his opinion, and most people won't, just like the left today. They cannot admit their faults. They can't admit their wrongs. But yet they want to instill their values on you and telling you what they want, how they foresee this country. And what really annoys the hell out of the left, ladies and gentlemen, is middle America. It frustrates vehemently, because it's middle America. Who is middle America? Middle America is those that go to church. It's middle America, those that pay their taxes. It's middle America that raise their kids. It's middle America that has decency, that has morals, that has a conscience, that hasn't sold it to the devil. Their handshake actually means something. Their word is their bond. Thank God for middle America. Thank God for flyover country. That's what Chuck used to call it, flyover country. Thank God for that. I am so thankful that we have decent people in this country willing to do the right thing, even if it means to be broke. Even if it means to be broke, they will leave their job when they find out there's corruption going on in their job, or there's sexual misconduct going on, and they don't do anything about it. They distance themselves from it. They're willing to put their reputation out there because they are not going to stand for wrong. They're going to vote their conscience. And so many of middle America have voted Republican, even though they're registered Democrats. And that's what infuriates the left to no end. They know these things. But then they blame middle America for Donald Trump. Instead of actually looking at themselves for what they missed opportunity, and instead of looking at why middle America made that decision, they have to sit there and make up things and then ridicule you. And they're still doing it today. There's no change. And instead of the left actually wanting to distance themselves from the Clinton dynasty, they're actually embracing it. They're actually welcoming it. I'm almost certain that everybody that voted for Hillary Rodham Clinton, or anybody to the left, even if they didn't vote for her, must have her book. It must be Must Reading 101. What went wrong? What went wrong is your values. What went wrong is that you lost touch with America. America may not be in all the inner cities, but in rural America, that's where the heartbeat of America is. And it's always been that way. And again, I thank my lucky stars that there are people like you who put your time and your energy and your effort into good causes. You're productive. You're hopeful. You pray. And you have an attitude of gratitude. And you voted for Donald Trump. You didn't vote for a priest. You voted for somebody that could get something done. We knew it wouldn't be easy. We knew there was going to be resistance. Donald Trump knew there was going to be great resistance. But he's up for the challenge. They try to discredit Melania Trump's role as, did you hear the latest? Trying to put her up against the wall and say that she never wanted to be first lady. She hates being, she loathes it. Which is to the contrary. You see how beautiful the White House is with the Christmas trees? The decorating with the children, how good she is, how warm she is, and not to mention how beautiful she is, how classy she is, how intelligent she is. I'm proud to have her as our First Lady. She's not apologizing for America. She's standing by her husband, with her husband, a good man who is making a difference for the country, does love this country, and is giving back to this country. And he's following through on his campaign promises, unlike Barack Hussein Obama, who let down the people who voted for him. I'll never forget when he was on the stump. There's just some things that just time stands still. And I still say things like, this Kodak moment is brought to you by. But when he says, and if you don't vote for her, meaning Hillary Clinton, if you don't vote for her, I'll take it as a personal insult. Well, you better take it as a personal insult, because they didn't vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton, did they? Oh, she may have got some popular votes. But folks, she wouldn't have been so popular had it not been for the illegal immigrants that voted for her. Oh, yeah. Do I believe that? Yes, I do. Millions voted that shouldn't have voted. It happened during Bill Clinton's deal where dead people voted. It was found out on the document that it was found out that people were dead, voted, and it hasn't been stopped. But despite all the conniving, despite all the money, all the fake news, and all the things that they tried to do, they were already celebrating her victory. They already had the victory party paid for. Remember, had the barges all ready for the fireworks. They were all ready. But you know what? God had a different plan for America. God had our victory plan ready. Because it's God that we trust. It's God who put together this magnificent Constitution of ours, brought together this band of people of ours, and has given this magnificent vision. And I believe the future can be bright. Ronald Reagan's City on a Hill. I believe that that city on a hill still exists. And I believe that all of us can be part of it. And we are. I think we're witnessing America being put back together again.